Hey everyone, this is Michael and Dave here again for Marketing for Coaches. And
Hello.
as always, I'm trying to make sure I'm wearing a different color t-shirt than the last time. And
Oh
today
man, you're
we're
up in your game.
gotta mix it up, gotta keep the people guessing.
Good.
And today we're gonna talk about where to start. You just maybe finished coaching school. You're feeling confident, ready for some paid clients. Eager to share your gifts and your talents with the world.
Yeah.
So now what? And we can talk about what's worked for us, and we can talk about where a lot of people start and what doesn't seem to have too much traction. What
hmm
do you think would work better, Dave? Do you want to start with what works or what doesn't?
Uh, I would do what doesn't work because I think
Okay.
that's so common for both of us,
hmm
and I think we both did all the things that don't work. So we're
Yeah.
experts in that as well.
There's that.
Yeah.
I started with a logo. I've shared
hmm
this in a few places. I
hmm
started with a graphic designer and spending a lot for a logo,
An
which
expensive
has
logo.
never, yep,
Yep.
never done anything for me.
hmm
I like it. I still use it.
hmm
Never made a cent off it. Never got a
Right.
client from it. Never seen anyone complain about the lack of logo for any other coach either.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
Right.
this whole idea of looking professional, whether it's a logo or a really nice website or something like that,
hmm
probably not as important as you think. And I know it can be tempting if there's a little bit of insecurity or shame around not feeling professional, not wanting to look like you don't know what you're doing when you feel that way, but
hmm
probably not the way to go to start.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd plus one that, and I think it's like I think if I go to hire a coach, I'm thinking of I'm hiring that person. And it's
hmm
kind of like if I were hiring any sort of service provider in a way, I mean, there may be certain ones I would want to have, maybe a real estate agent or something, you'd want to have a
Sure.
big logo and a website behind it. But if you were hiring a naturopath or
hmm
a certain, or a masseuse or somebody that's, going to be providing a service, your business card is maybe not the deciding factor. It's really that the
Right.
feeling you get for that person.
Yeah.
And then that takes us all the way, the grand scheme of these days, everyone feels like they need a website, and I think that Michael and I both have websites. We've spent
hmm
time on them, and um, it's really rare that a client comes in cold through your website. Just
Yeah.
sorry, that's just not the fact that most people don't go out on the web and just look for coaches on random websites and hire somebody cold. I've had a few clients who have, started conversations there, but it's really, really rare. And so the website is another area I think not to focus on. It's a
hmm
nice to have something, a page or something, but you can also do without completely, and just, we've seen that be successful as well.
Yeah, I would imagine because I've never in my life done this. If you were just going to Google search for, I need a coach or
hmm
coaches in whatever geographic area, unless you're being really, really specific, such as like a coach for a PhD dissertation in a very specific field, I'd imagine the Google results you're going to be flooded with will be absolutely overwhelming. And it'll be
hmm
even harder to make a decision than if you hadn't Googled at all.
Yeah. Well, and you'll probably, you'll see, well, we could just do it, but you're going to see coaches, coaching companies and
hmm
aggregators for coaches. You're not going to see individual people who are coaches, typically, I
Yeah.
think. So, yeah. So I guess, yeah. So the blog is another time sink that a lot of folks
hmm
spend time in. Is a place I would say not recommending to start.
Right.
I've never gotten a client through my blog, but
Me neither.
you know, but I have written blog posts. So,
Mhm.
so where do those hours go? Is that what you want to be doing? So maybe we should give a little commentary on what we find is helpful, like where we would recommend to start.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
have I mean one really jumps out to me, and
hmm
that is actually having conversations with people.
Yeah. Right.
And just to
I
contrast it
agree.
with what we were talking about before and blogging, the way the internet is right now, if let's say you were to write a blog, what you'd have to do to get anyone to read it at first before you're well established is comb through all your email and social media contacts and try and find the people you think would be interested, or kind of you know do the mass email to
Yeah.
everyone whether they're interested or not. um what I'd suggest is, you can do that anyway. Look at the people
hmm
um that you think might be interested in coaching that you know, and instead of sending them a little homework assignment in the form of a blog that
Right.
you'd like them to read, why not see if they want to talk, if they want to have a conversation?
Hmm.
You may be a very good writer, and you may really enjoy the process of blogging. It's a good idea a little bit later on when
Hmm.
people, as a sort of validator to enhance your credibility and your expertise. But at first, wouldn't a better validator of whether or not someone should pay you money to talk to you be to give them an experience of talking to you one on one?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's been my experience too. And it's also like, even if they are not ready for a coaching conversation, sometimes it could just be like, hey, I'd love to catch up with you and let you know what I'm
Hmm.
up to. And do you know somebody who might be um, looking for a coach or looking for the type of services I'm providing? And it's not, maybe that seems like a big ask from zero, but
Hmm.
you get better at this. It's a skill to learn about how to, basically reach out to people that you know and your contacts who you would also have a good feeling about, and having a positive conversation about what you do. Um,
Hmm.
and I'll even add that, even talking to other coaches
Yeah.
sometimes is a great source, because different coaches specialize in different types of clients, and you might, be talking to somebody who is work, or sometimes what will happen, I'll have a friend who wants to work with me, and I'll say, oh, I don't really want to coach my friend. You know what? So
Yeah.
instead, great, you'd be a great person to coach my friend, because then I don't have to coach them, and I get out of that sticky situation. So having conversations can go all kinds of places, but I underscore what Michael said. Having the chance to demonstrate what you do and having someone experience that coaching container, or the conversation, the kind of the energetic exchange that happens there, is really powerful way to show people what you're about, and what it might give them a glimpse behind the curtain of what coaching could really look like for them. So
Hmm.
strongly
Yeah.
recommend.
Yeah. Now, a little nuance around this. It's
Yeah.
something I really want to ask Dave
Yeah.
because this is something I tried when it came to conversations, and it never worked for me. I
Hmm.
read in a book once, "Don't do this," but was determined to try it anyway.
Okay.
Uh, I have not found it helpful to go have lunch or drinks
Hmm.
with someone in this
Hmm.
way. It tends to
Right.
create a much more social vibe. I did this with some of my volunteer clients when I was still in coaching school. Go for grab lunch afterwards, and they were so appreciative. They loved the coaching. They insisted on paying for lunch, and then that was kind of it. It
Yeah.
felt like the vibe was more, oh, I'm so glad I
Yeah.
could repay him for that wonderful coaching, but no desire to kind of explore it further or anything like that. What do you think about doing
Yeah.
this at a restaurant or a bar or something like that? Never worked for me.
Well, it's a great question. I'm sort of tapping my memory banks because
Hmm.
of, like, with the whole COVID thing, this was just so impossible for a couple of
Right.
years, that it's like, I'm like, what did that look like? So I think for myself, yeah, it feels like once you get into a meal, it's
Hmm.
like it definitely feels more like a friend or a family,
Yeah.
or somebody that
Yeah.
you're really, socializing with. Although in business, I had lots of business lunches and business dinners and things that,
Okay.
were a part of that. But in terms of coaching clients, yeah, I can't recall ever having a meal with a client in, like, sort of a prospecting, still getting to know them sort of mode. I've had
Hmm.
dinner with clients that have been longtime clients, but not
As have
somebody
I. Yeah.
who's, yeah, not somebody who's like, we're still getting to know each other.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I think I would probably steer away from that and do more of the coffee thing. And
Yep.
if you're going to meet up, and really keep it more of the, I think that's important exchange of, like, you're a service provider, and
Hmm.
you're a healer, or whatever you want to, however you frame your work. But it's like you're there to provide some value to that person and help them,
Yeah.
and they're interviewing you to see if you might be a potential fit for them, whether it's a formal interview, or it's just a, hey, we're having coffee, just to understand what you do a little bit.
Right.
um, that's the thing where, I think we can take the pressure off of ourselves. It doesn't have to be like a salesy thing. It's just
Hmm.
sharing what you do. Is it okay to
Yeah.
just share what you do?
Yeah. And I found I've actually had more luck, and or luck is only part of this, but it's gone better
Hmm.
As if I've kept it a little bit briefer. I know my temptation is sometimes more
Right.
is more, and they're gonna appreciate all the value
Hmm.
I'm providing. It's not
Hmm.
necessarily always true. People only have bandwidth for so much at a given time,
Yeah,
especially if they're
that's really
still on the
great
fence
point.
about something.
Hmm.
I try to keep it to about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the person. Doesn't mean
Hmm.
it can't go over, especially if we're vibing, if there's more to talk about.
Hmm.
But that's generally the sweet spot for me in
Hmm.
terms of me getting a sense of, do I want to work with this person, and them getting a sense of if they want to work
Right.
with me.
And that's probably different for everybody. I guess we
Hmm.
probably, you know, we all have to decide what the right amount of time is. But I would say for me, it's funny. I almost would say it's if I get to ask like two or maybe three coaching type questions, that's probably enough, you know,
Hmm.
to exploration in my sense with people. That if we're sort of going beneath that, you know, the typical conversation where they actually are having to scan their own interior brain a little bit and think,
Yeah.
what is it that I'm being asked here? Wow, oh wow, I haven't thought about that before in that way.
Yeah.
Oh, and then oh, we went one more level deep, or okay, what's that about? And so a couple of those questions, and all of a sudden they start kind of going, whoa, okay, this would be interesting to explore this. I find it's not even a time, it's more like, do I get two or three coaching questions
I
in
see.
where I'm peeling back a little bit, like, well, what's behind that? You know, and I'm not talking about sophisticated questions. I'm talking about very simple, just kind of, yeah, investigative coaching, curious coaching questions that we've all been taught and we all know how to do pretty instinctively, I think,
Yeah.
but often don't get the chance, you know, in a in a normal setting to show that off, you know, with the neighbors or something. But it's something that when you have a conversation with somebody that's on your list that you feel good about,
Hmm.
and you say, hey, can I ask you a coaching question, or would you like to experience a little coaching on something that you're working on? Then it's like a demo, like the sample
Yeah.
person at the grocery store, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, you
And
know, would you like a little sample? And then they, oh yeah, you know, a lot of people are quite open to that and say, yeah, that'd be helpful.
mhm.
Why not? You know, I already like you. I've decided to get on the phone with you. Let's
Yep.
have that energy exchange.
Hmm. And what you're describing,
Yeah.
Dave, makes me think you're leaving them with the experience of you guiding them towards things they wouldn't have thought of on their own.
Yeah,
Thus,
that's right.
giving a sense of your value. Well,
Yeah.
here's what you're paying for. Here's
Hmm.
what we're going to be doing together, and you've already
Yeah.
had a taste of what some of the benefits of that can be.
Yeah. And maybe this is just me, but I feel like, yeah, that's totally right, by the way. But I also
Hmm.
feel a little bit like I don't want to get too deep in a first
Yeah.
conversation where it's
Hmm.
just kind of a, because I don't want to leave them hanging.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
want to leave them in a quandary going, ooh, wow, you know, we've unpacked something a little that maybe was important. And now they're sort of not sure what to do, or they've decided they
Yeah.
can't afford coaching right now, or they're not even ready to go there. So that's one thing I think I feel a little responsibility to not go too far too quick,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
just kind of get it's that the sample, you know,
Yeah.
at the grocery
Yeah.
store sample thing.
And
Start off
and
on
you
the
really want
example.
the coaching container in place for the
That's right.
rest of it, for those
Yeah,
deep dives,
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
have a bit more of a formal agreement
Hmm.
around that deeper work, and
That's right.
them knowing how to come to you for support when needed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well said.
Yeah. So
Great.
I anyway,
Well,
this is
good.
as you've probably heard, and as you're probably thinking right now, there's some things to figure out around here, and some experimentation necessary in terms of figuring out your style of doing this. And I think what Dave and I are arguing, if you're taking away one thing from this, is that's probably the best place to spend your time at the beginning.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to not waste time on all the typical
Mhm.
things that feel like they're marketing,
Yeah.
quote unquote. So yeah, great. Well, thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully you can like it and subscribe, like
Hmm.
like you know all us YouTube citizens are told to do way too many times. So
Yeah.
thanks for your attention, and yeah, Michael and I'll be around soon with another video.
Definitely. You'll see
Good luck
what
to you
color
all.
T-shirt I have
Yeah,
next.
that's a good question. Yeah, what will he wear next? All right,
Mhm.
take
Take
care.
care.
Yeah.